There are 3 moments that make the difference. 3 moments that make the difference. These moments have come and will come in each one of our lives. There are 3 moments that make the difference. Oftentimes, they come to about 3 minutes. We have them. The 3 questions I have for us: will we recognize when a moment is upon us? Will we maximize the moment in front of us? And will we know what to do to internalize the moments that we've had? In 1960, November, a young girl named Ruby Ridges became the first African American to attend an all-white school in Louisiana. In her memoir, she told us the most challenging moments of that experience were eating lunch alone. The most challenging moments of that experience were being by herself at recess. Just recently, our U.S. Surgeon General, Vivek Murthy, he has told us that loneliness as an epidemic is as dangerous to our health as obesity or cancer. This idea that there are moments that come to us and that we do something with them, that's why we're here today. I had a significant moment when I was about 17 years old. I was a high school Spanish student at the time, and as far as being a student, I wasn't the greatest. I didn't have an academic prowess. I hadn't been encouraged or taught how to study or how to learn. I kind of made my way through until one day, it all changed. I had a Spanish teacher, Senor Sanchez, and for some reason one day he paused and he caught me as I was about to leave the classroom that afternoon. He looked at me, my Spanish 2 teacher, and he said, "Jason, si podrías hablar español, podrías hablar con más gente de alrededor del mundo." I had no idea what he said. He made me write it down. And I went home that night. And word by word, conjugation after conjugation, I translated what he had told me. And in that moment, I realized he saw me. He got me. He said, if you learned how to speak Spanish, there's about 100 million more people you could talk to. And that set me on a path. There are moments that make the difference. One of these moments that will present themselves to you are the moments when you pay attention, when you notice. I call it make awkward eye contact with one another. In fact, let's hit pause X right now. Will you look to your left? Will you look to your right? And just lock eyes with someone. It'll be weird. Let's do it anyway. 3, 2, 1. Look away, look away. Now, you've done this before. You've walked into a room. You've walked into an environment. You looked across. You saw someone. You thought they looked back at you. And you asked yourself, did they just notice me? They did. Now, that's on the surface level of paying attention. I'm American. If I pay attention, I hope for something in return. I'll get to that moment in a moment. On the undersurface of this is what happens when my attention is locked on, vice what happens when I lose the attention that I once had. I mean, who's ever been reading a book? You start at the top left of the page, you make your way down to the bottom right hand of the page. Raise your hands if you have had no idea what you just read. Anybody in the room? Gone. Nothing. Zilch. 0. You spent time looking down a page, have no idea what just happened. You have 2 options at this point. Option 1, you turn the page. I hope it wasn't important. Option 2, you go back and reread what you had already read. And I hope you understand right now I'm no longer talking about a page of a book. What happens when the person who's talking with me shares something and I don't hear it? I don't notice it. When I am not seen and I am not got. So I challenge you. Take advantage of the moment when it presents itself to you, when someone presents themselves to you. It might be a person sharing something with you. It might be a book you're reading, a video you're watching, a podcast you're listening to. Pay attention for that moment. It could be the one that shifts everything. We have another group of moments, another group of minutes. We have the second of 3 moments we'll experience. And this one I like to call meaningful conversation. And what I know about meaningful conversation is that a meaningful conversation is often in the mouth of the speaker, not necessarily in the ear of the listener. There's people in this room, just smile. Who's ever been mentored hard? Knife hands and everything. They shoulded and they justed off you, often in the same sentence. Here's what you should do. Here's what you just need to do. And while you're being mentored, you have this thought in the back of your mind, they don't actually know what I want. And so I invite you, I ask you, I challenge you. Wonder, let your mind wander. As you're listening to that person share, as you're reading that book or watching that video or listening to that podcast, find the meaning that connects you to them or you to it. Meaning is often in the mouth of the speaker, not always the ear of the listener. How do I create the conditions under which we can meet together and find meaning together? There's a third group of moment, a third group of minutes. And these are the ones that I look for. These are the ones that I create. These are the ones that I look to anticipate out into the future. Now, before I share with you what these 3 minutes are, I'm going to ask you to experience what these moments feel like. So if you have them, will you please take out your mobile phones, your cell phones, your devices. Please go ahead and open up your cell phones, your mobile devices, and will you open up to a text message application, your text message app of choice. By the way, do you remember that first moment I talked about paying attention? I'm now vying for attention. And as you scroll through that text message app, keep going. Scroll down that page. Keep going. Scroll down that page. The third moment, in fact, what I believe is the most important moment, is by now you've seen someone's name. By now you had a memory. By now, if you're looking down a stream of messages sent and received, you just saw someone that deserves your attention. You saw someone that you could pay attention to. You saw someone who has shared something that's meaningful to them with you. And now you can take full advantage of the third moment. This is the moment that makes the difference. You send them a note. You give them a call. You write them a card. You stop on your way home. You knock on the door. You say, I was thinking of you. Somewhere on this space, in this room, maybe within 3 feet of where you're sitting right now, is someone who needs a moment. Maybe today you could be that moment. As you explore the experience of what it means to be connected, to do connection, and to have connection, I invite you to take a full advantage of the 3 moments that we all get. On March 5th of 2024, just about 2 weeks ago, Miss Ruby Ridges was inducted into the Women's Hall of Fame. In her acceptance speech 17 days ago, she took the stage, she grabbed the microphone, and she said, success does not mean as much if we can't share it with one another. As you explore and expand, as you make your way through a life and a career, what will you do to take full advantage of the moments that you're given? I look today and I see an audience of people who are willing, ready, and able to step forward and take advantage of the most important moments of a life. Thank you very much.